Hi, my name is Devahntau Colonel, and I am the host here at the Inspired Challenge podcast. This clip is to answer the question of why did I start this podcast? Typically, what will happen is I give 3 questions to my guests at the end of the show, and one of them is inevitably, why did I start it? So this is to answer the question of why did I start the podcast? Let's jump in. I failed a long-term relationship. After failing the relationship, I moved back in with my family and lived with them again. One night, I was kicked out of the family home after an emotional outbreak. 2 days later, I apologized after speaking with some family members and was accepted back in. I realized that my emotions controlled me and that I had seemingly no power over my anger, sadness, grief, or any intense emotion. And I knew it was time for a change. So I started therapy, began doing dance classes, being physically active and going to the gym every day. And most importantly, I got plugged into a church in meaningful ways. I also listened to podcasts where the hosts frequently criticized young men for the deficiencies that they had and found many of these deficiencies present in my own self. These hosts would explain why the person was not respected by their family, their girlfriend or wife, and why society as a whole treated them as a fool. I realized that I was underdeveloped mentally, spiritually, and emotionally, and that many men were in the same situation as well. One day, I was fired from my electrical company. After a few days of thinking, I began to reach out to companies to offer to work and come in, work for free, just to get my foot in the door. A marketing company returned my call. They invited me to come in order to work together with them. After spending some time with the vice president and the head marketing agent, I was constantly talking about my podcast. The content of the shows that I had listened to were mostly correct. However, they were all either completely devoid of God or they used God for the speaker's purpose. My desire was to bring the element of God that transformed me to other men as well. After telling my girlfriend, who is now my wife, and my uncle about my goal, the company had given me an opportunity to start the show with an impressive budget to bat. However, after contemplating it deeply, I decided that as generous as the opportunity was, I declined the company's offer and started the show with my uncle and girlfriend instead, fully supporting the mission. And that's the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Now, I want to thank you so much for the time that you've given me in listening to why I started this podcast. And if you're curious at all what exactly happened and why I got kicked out, what I did afterwards, the thoughts going on in my mind, how I processed everything, and most importantly, the way that I changed my life around and what steps happened in between there, then you're going to want to click onto this video because I'll be literally pulling up posts that I was putting out and different messages that I was getting that really encouraged me, explaining piece by piece how I began to craft this new life for myself and some of the things that were absolute pillars of my new life. But if this is where your journey ends, I want to thank you for your time again. And until next time, I'll see you in the next video. Take care.